Welcome to the channel, everybody. So today we are going to be continuing on getting that Paragon title. As you all know, I did achieve it already, so we're just going to go ahead and get the videos out so you guys can see how I achieved it. So we're going to continue on today with Act 7.3.4. So with this one, you are going to need a team that is able to consistently deal shock charges. That is going to be the most important thing for the path that we're going to choose here. So you can see here we brought in Doom, Doom, also known as Infamous Iron Man, as well as Black Widow Deadly Origins. So let's go ahead and take a look at the path here. We brought in Tigra and Hulk for the boss. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get over there. And to be honest with you, I'm going to make a few adjustments and explain how that was not what we should have done. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what we did go with and how we did get through this. So right off the bat here, you're going to see the path notes here include Thunderstruck, which the defender takes 20% more shock damage from and 90% less damage from any other source. Then there is also Right Back at You. So whenever the defender is knocked down by a heavy or a special attack, they become debuff immune for 6 seconds. So keep that in mind. You do need to keep the shock charges on there, but at the same time, if you're knocking them down, you're going to take a chance of removing those and having a hard time getting back on there for a few seconds. So you're going to want to avoid them until that timer comes off. Otherwise, you're really not going to be doing much damage. They also have Livewire, which allows both you and their basic attacks to have a 20% chance of applying a shock debuff. Keep that in mind, especially if you have a champion that already has a high chance of dealing shock damage off of their basic attack, such as somebody like Black Widow Deadly Origin. This is just going to increase the chance of that, making it easier to apply those shock charges. They also have shock vulnerability, so as long as the defender is suffering from a shock charge, your attack rating is going to be increased by 300%. So that does benefit you greatly. Now, the only thing that does hinder you with all of this is the redoubled determination. For each debuff on the defender, they gain 65% attack and 20% combat rating. Now, if you apply bleed, poison, or armor break, this actually gets doubled. So keep that in mind. You do want to keep the shock charges on there, and ideally as many as possible, but do keep in mind that the more that you put on there, the more you're going to be powering them up as well. So you're going to have to be careful about taking any damage after you get those shock charges applied. Now on this path, you are going to face Strife, Guillotine 2099, Punisher, Dragon Man, Psycho Man, Mr. Negative, and then get over to your selector node and be able to decide which one of the 3 bosses you're going to face. You are going to have the option of Sorceress Supreme, Symbiot Supreme, or Doctor Strange, who of course is the Sorcerer Supreme. So we did go ahead and choose Doctor Strange. Ideally, my thought process with Doctor Strange was that I was just going to bring in Hulk and be able to take him fairly easy because he is the easier of the 3 bosses, ideally as a champion overall. But keeping in mind that he actually has ionized on him, which every time he launches a special, he gets an armor up buff. He also has Ironclad. Anytime you strike him, he's going to deal 20% of the damage back to you. He also has Heavy-Handed, so his special 1s and special 2s are actually increased by 130% of his armor rating. He also has special Chaos Inversion, so whenever he launches a special, you are going to get inflicted with inverted controls. And then finally, he has Prey on the Weak, so every time you have a buff expire or he nullifies it, he actually is going to gain 5% of his power. So there is quite a bit working against you from what Doctor Strange would normally be. Ideally, what we should have been doing is making sure we had somebody in that could do armor breaks and somebody who could do power lock on him. We did have some ability with that with Tigra, but let's go ahead and take a look because we did not do this exactly the way I had planned, but we were able to go ahead and get this in one go. So right off the bat here, you can see we went up against Strife with Infamous Iron Man. Now, I will tell you, I am not the most consistent at keeping shock charges on people with Infamous Iron Man. But of course, you know, if I can get built up to that SP2, we're going to get plenty of them on there, as well as be able to do a lot of damage. So that's pretty much what we were working towards here. And as you can see, for the most part, it did everything we needed to. And we were able to even get through that invisibility cloak and go ahead and take him down. We did heal up for the Guillotine 29 fight. Obviously, we had taken quite a bit of damage against Strife, so I did not want to go ahead and underestimate her by any means, which you should not be doing by this level anyways. You want to make sure that you're always putting yourself in your best possible position to take on these fights. But we did go ahead, again, did pretty straightforward damage with her. Went a lot smoother with her, honestly, than it did with Strife. As you can see here, we are taking quite a bit less damage, and we've got her already down to 17%. Do have to worry about the power drain with her, so it does make it a little harder to get up to that SP2 consistently with her. But at the same time, as you can see, we were able to do most of it. We did take a bit more damage there after that, but obviously healed back up and came over here to the Punisher fight. Obviously, the biggest thing to worry about with the Punisher fight is making sure that you're getting the shock charges on, but you also have to keep in mind that he does have that immortality right at the end, which can prove to be a slight bit of a pain because it is outweighing that timer unless you've got somebody that can remove that timer for you. It's, you know, that few extra seconds that you just got to keep yourself alive long enough for him to finally realize that you've won. We did have a little bit rougher of a time on this match than I really would like to admit to. I just wasn't consistently getting the shock charges on the way I was trying to, and I ended up letting him catch me several times and even bleed me out mostly. So this one, we are going to have to, unfortunately, tap into the well to be able to take him. It's going to be the first match that we're actually going to go down on. And there it is. So we went ahead and brought Doom in here. I am not the most consistent Doom player by any means. I am still working on him, and we obviously were more focused on just getting through things than I was getting perfection with champions. So, you know, we went ahead and attempted it with Doom, but I will be honest with you, he's not going to be the one that wins this match either. It does come pretty close. We get him almost down. Obviously, like I said, we've got that little bit of immortality we have to worry about. Still didn't get to that point, but we did get there with Black Widow, and so we were able to move on. Was going to go ahead and figure that I could take Dragon Man with her because she does apply so many shocks so easily. But Dragon Man has so much power gain. He is really a pain to consistently deal with. And unfortunately, he's really good about backing you up. We were able to get out of it that time, but we'd already taken so much damage that there just wasn't anything left. So we did end up reviving Infamous Iron Man again here to go ahead and try and bring him down. I really should have brought a slightly better counter for him. There is the obvious choice for a shock damage champion that is science, so that I could have had class advantage by bringing in Electro. But obviously I didn't choose to do that, and I don't even have him powered up enough to really have done this with him yet. So this ended up being a little bit more of a fight than we necessarily needed it to be. It's not going to be the only fight that we probably, just by bad roster choice, uh, didn't need to use as many resources as we did. But at the same time, we are, like I said, pushing through it. You can see here we've got him almost down here. Infinite Science Man still at about a quarter of his health. We are going to take this SP3, which is going to be a little bit too much, but we're able to go ahead and revive and get on to the next match right away. So not too much, but that put us in a position where we're already set for the Psycho Man fight. Without having to use any more resources, at least for a first go. Psycho Man is one I think people underrate by far. I do think that he can be a bigger pain than a lot of people realize. Uh, Definitely somebody to look into a little bit more, in my opinion. But we are able to do most of what we need to here. Unfortunately, you're going to see that SP3 really didn't do anything. Not quite for sure why that happened. I'm going to actually have to look into that. I noticed it when I was doing the playback, and I don't think I noticed it when I did the gameplay itself. But I would have expected some damage even with the damage reduction, in spite of the fact that I don't think we had any shock charges on right at that moment. So we are pretty close to bringing him down to the end here, and just trying to hold on just enough to keep the shock charges on there so we can actually do some damage to him. And we get him right down to that last 3%, and unfortunately fired into that shield, which was not a great thing, but we were still able to take him and get over here to Mr. Negative. With Mr. Negative here, we end up doing about 50% of the damage to him. But to be truthful with you, I think we could have taken this one straight forward without any problem if I would have just went ahead and revived Black Widow Deadly Origin and brought her in with the class advantage. The biggest problem we had right here, obviously, was we forgot to bait out the special before pushing him up into that special 3 and just took that to the face. But obviously brought Black Widow Deadly Origin in for the class advantage, like I said originally. I did go ahead and swap in Hawkeye here to boost several of the champions on the team, mostly to boost Hulk here, because originally my plan was I'll just go in and I'll beat the crap out of him and beat him down. But of course, that's not great when you're taking 20% of everything you're doing to him right back upon yourself. You're eating up quite a bit of your own life just trying to beat on him. So that was a bad choice on my part. What we really should have been doing is worrying about having more champions in that could deal any kind of debuff damage on him. Ideally, somebody like Human Torch would have been a lot better for this. He could have still had that class advantage and stacked those incinerate charges on him. Unfortunately, did not, deal with that very well. But we were able to go ahead and get over here and, get him most of the way down with Tigra there off of her charges, obviously. And then we turned around and brought in Black Widow Deadly Origin so that she could as well deal as much debuff damage as possible. Tried Hawkeye here. I do have a 6-star Hawkeye, but my 5-star is actually a rank 200, or Sig 200, I should say. So I chose to bring him in as over the 6-star. Probably a bad choice on that one as well. But we're going to go ahead and beat him most of the way down by going through most of the roster. Doom is going to do quite a bit of work towards getting him almost finished here. But obviously, each of them are going to get caught. Shouldn't have even bothered to bring in Hulk one last time. But I figured with so little damage, maybe we could go ahead and finish him off before eating ourselves alive. But it was just a waste. We should just went straight over to Tigra, who does go ahead and finish this up for us. And that's the end of the level, folks. We're able to go ahead and get on. This puts us with only 8 levels left to go to earn that Paragon title, as, like I said, we have been able to do now. That has opened up quite a bit for us, including the amazing opening that we had for a crystal opening this week. Make sure, if you haven't, that you stop over and check that out, though I do know quite a few of you already have, and I appreciate that greatly. Channel is continuing to grow all the time. We do have the subscribers 3-star tournament starting this Sunday. So if you have not gotten a hold of me on Line Chat or Discord and do want to be a part of that tournament, make sure you do so before Saturday. Information is on the channel on the community page, as well as will be in the description of this video. I hope everybody's doing great and everybody is getting some more of that progression in. We will be getting this series finished up, and then we're going to start working on several new things for the channel. I'm really excited for the growth that we've had, and I'm grateful to every one of you. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys back for the next one. Peace out.